There's often the impression that awakening, coming out of a multi-year slumber, is going to be nothing but just beautiful sunshine and authentic living. One that will lead you to great adventures and a more conscious existence. Now, that is true, but they are leaving out the most important phase first before you can even get there. And that's what I want to do today. I want to walk you through those steps this way you can kind of spot where you are in the journey, which will give you a sense of orientation, direction, and you can dig deep because you have the answers within you in terms of what you have to do moving forward. Stage one is the realization. Your whole life up until now was accepting a role you never fully chose, but rather needed to survive. And I'm going to give you just one role, often taken by men, is the good man. The good man who puts others ahead of themselves. A man who suppresses their own needs and desires and squishes their ability to be and to express into a tightly knit fit box in order to avoid causing distress to their loved ones, their friends, society. And this good man persona, while in some ways is very helpful, and it brings admirers to you, people who will look up to you. But very soon, over time, you start to notice that there are certain needs. Your soul is going to crave something more. And as it begins to crave what it deeply needs to live and to integrate, you will very soon realize that the box that you fit into is now becoming way too tight. And this can manifest in feelings of low energy. Your energy is feeling depleted. You don't have much left in you. You're irritable, stressed, anxious all the time, no matter how much you sleep, how well you eat, how much you work out. It almost doesn't matter. And it's kind of dawning on you as to what could be going on. And the good man thrives on the persona and the idea of him expressing or making a pretty radical decision to allow that part of him to live is extremely frightening because it requires complete death. But because we stay within our personas, your psyche will seek to balance the deficit. This often leading to the endless pursuit of more money, power, friends, cars, etc. And so, for example, if you're feeling that you are lacking intimacy, deep connection, then that vacant hole needs to be fed. But because it's not being fed in the way the soul needs, you need to find other ways. You got to take all that frustration, all that agitation, and point it somewhere. And for the masculine, it's widely accepted to use suppression, anger, and depression to move yourself forward, to build a business, to make a lot of money, to have a lot of friends, raise your status, be admired by a lot of people around you. It's a very natural direction to go. But unfortunately, you'll find very often, and this is the case in my life, you will seek all of that. And you might even actually touch it. But you realize it had nothing to do with any of those things. None of those things actually satisfied it. Perhaps for a moment. But very soon after it depletes, it's gone to zero. And you try to think to yourself, maybe it's because I need more money. Maybe I need more cars, more friends. Or maybe not these type of friends, maybe those kind of friends. Maybe not this kind of house by the country or in the city. It'll never end. We rationalize ourselves into keeping this persona without ever really truly seeing what it is. And why? Because once you see it, you cannot go back. The minute you realize what you've been contained in and what you've been trapped in, if that illuminates itself to you, for you to now look at that and return into that box is going to be the slowest torture you're ever going to have in your life. You'll be slowly chipping away at yourself, bit by bit, day by day, week over week, month over month, till you're left with nothing but a husk, a ghost walking through his own life. But let's now move on to stage two. the collapse. This is where you fall into that fork in the road where you have two options. Your first option is you just go back to the way things were. You suppress, stuff away the realization. And just to give a more grounded example, let's say your whole life, because of your family upbringing, you were told that you have to be a doctor, somebody who is of such service to the community, who has a middle-class lifestyle, who has to have a particular kind of wife, a certain amount of kids. And it was a pressure that you felt around you, but you always felt that there was something different within that you wanted to have live and have the alternative life that you've really always kind of wanted to try, but felt the pressure that you had to confine yourself. And so then as the years go on, all of a sudden that desire starts to scream at you more and more and more until that you become larger than the container you were in. And you have the choice, of course, to go back into that box. But like I said in stage one, that price will come at the cost of your soul. And worst case scenario, you'll live with regret. When it comes to regret, this is something I have been thinking about. Oftentimes it's expressed by typically like the business money-making guru types, even the self-help types, that regret will be when you're in your rocking chair and you wish that you could have just done this or gone for this, pursued this business or whatever. My belief is the biggest regret that you're probably going to have is at the end of your life, you sit there and realize that I never really truly lived. Instead, I squeezed myself into a frame because I was so afraid to step out of it and have everyone turn against me. And I believe that is probably a deeper regret. But you have another option. You can move forward. Begin to, without desperation, panic, anxiety, decide to venture forward into this new reality. And you more than likely will already be feeling that shift. It's a conscious shift. Whatever you were thinking of before, whatever you normally have a habit of thinking of, is slowly withering away and it's shifting over to something different. And it is completely involuntary. Remember that the path forward will lead to complete ego annihilation. And the ego annihilation is the destruction of your persona. If people thought you were a good man and you made a decision that perhaps for a large majority of people, they saw you as something crazy, that you're being stupid, but you felt absolutely in the base of your soul, in your center, that this is the right thing for you to do. You're not doing it out of envy, hatred, or desperation that you want to jump ship and go somewhere else. No, rather this is a calm, relaxed knowing, and that's what's really important. It's not these sort of things when they come into your life, it's not aggressive. It's very subtle. It's this hum that lives within you that you just know. You just know you have to act on. And the only thing in that way is just a fear, and it's rational. Man, like if you've spent your whole life being the good man, that's the one thing you have. Whether you've lost money, whether you've lost friends, at least you've had that persona. And to be asked to let that go and to let that absolutely break is a big ask. But that is what's in the way. Becoming the man who wanted to live, but was trapped inside of a prison of his own design. It's a mix. Of course, the external matters, but majority it's a prison of our own making. We have a choice to break out of it. But as you see, the price tag, either way, is expensive. Let's now move on to stage 3. If you have chosen to move forward, then now begins the process of grieving. And it has to occur. There's no skipping it. Whether it's happening periodically or you feel like nothing's going to happen at all, and then it just happens at one shot, massive explosion, regardless, all that pent up tension over the years and years and years of holding, it will have to release itself. This is the part where you will mourn the old you. And that's going to be an extremely difficult thing. Something that you have been so at default with. If you were the good man, that was the default state you always had. You always went down to this. That's your base. And you're being asked to just let that die. Buddy, it's absolutely going to hurt. It's going to hurt. It's going to be scary. It's going to be confusing. You're going to have the temptation to go back. But if you even sit there for a moment and don't just obsess above the shoulders, focus on your gut, on your soul. If you tell yourself, why don't I just go back? How do you react to this? If it is a genuine calling, synchronicity, the universe, God, something is getting you to say, we need to move forward. And if you ask yourself, what if I just stay? How does it feel? I will almost guarantee you that your stomach is going to tense up and say, absolutely not. We are not doing that. And you're going to grieve that. You're going to grieve the fact that you're trying to probably go back, but you can't. And you know you can't. And so you're going to cry. You'll have moments where you'll panic. You'll be so afraid. You don't know what's going to happen. It is all part of the process. And what's most important is that you do not fight it. Don't reject it. Don't push it away. Don't try to bring it in. You have to quite literally just allow everything to play out the way it has to. Everyone is different. You are different. So just let it operate within you. Allow yourself to go through it. Don't fight this process. Maintain your center, because with every wave, every bout of emotion, you will begin to have more life coming back to you, because it's a shedding process. You are taking off the armor. Every time you take off the armor, you're going to feel it. But then not too long after that, you have this different level of energy, because your soul recognizes what you're doing. Your nervous system recognizes it. It feels tension being released. And where there's now all that energy being stored away and pushed to suppress the desire to live in every specific way, as it falls off, all that energy comes back to you, which is why it's really important you don't anchor yourself to somebody during this process. This has to be an absolute in the dark by yourself. Has to. Because then you've robbed yourself of your own agency. If you remember the core desires, I have agency, I am seen, and I matter. You need to give yourself that autonomy. Otherwise, you'll always carry with you this truth that you never really did it on your own. So be calm. Be calm. Not desperate for the change. Allow it to play out in the rhythm it's going to play out. But that doesn't mean hands off, don't do anything, right? Like, you set the stage. You know, the universe will present itself with an opportunity for you, but it will not make it happen for you. You need to do it. And how that looks is going to be different for everybody. It will not be the same. But the point being, don't try to sit back and just let everything kind of work out the way it has to. No, because then you've just missed the opportunity. It'll pass you. So instead, you recognize it, you know deep down, then you begin to take action. Begin to set the steps. What is it going to look like? If you're a doctor confined into this small box and you're dying at the thought of staying in this any longer. What do you really want to do? How are you going to make sure you're financially okay? Those things matter, of course. We don't want to just launch ourselves into just the spiritual realm and just say F it to the actual grounded reality we live in. But you have to give yourself the space to expand. This process is an expansion, but it has this sort of simultaneous contraction, which is you can think of it as like a sponge. The sponge is so heavy, it's soaked underwater. And that water that's soaked within it is all the years of suppression and unconscious contents trying to come to the surface, but you always keep pushing down, distorting, rationalizing, being ego dominant. And all of that just makes that sponge feel extremely heavy. So there's this process, it needs to be squeezed. And once that sheds out, that's as if it's the crying portion. But then when you release it, all of a sudden the sponge is going to feel a little lighter. You're going to feel a little lighter. It's a squeeze, you let it bleed out, you cry it out. And every time you do that, you're going to feel lighter and stronger, and the courage to take action because of what you see on the other side will become more clear. And it becomes painfully obvious that that's the direction you have to go. And of course, doing this on your own is essential, but that doesn't mean you can't walk side by side with someone during this process. And so down below, I have a wait list to my school community that I'm going to be launching July 11th. But those who jump on the wait list will get an early notice, and you'll get access to it before everybody else. So you can jump in and get the full sovereign integration system that I designed, and you'll get early access to that. And then the beautiful thing about this community is that every Sunday we're going to meet up. We meet up every Sunday, 30 minutes, for us to talk about this. What stage are you at? What are you struggling with? What is it that I can do to offer some clarity? And it dramatically improves the process of growth. Well, thank you very much, everybody, and I will see you on the next video.